Hi, welcome to Quilt-ish of Cape Cod. In the fine history of cottage industry businesses since the 1600s, Quilt-ish of Cape Cod is a separate and private business on the side of this multi-use private residential property. Behind me, you see the Lightkeeper's quilt. It is huge. We have smaller sizes of it in the shop. It's spectacular no matter what size it's at. So we'll go on down to the shop, take a look at all the various versions of the Lightkeeper's quilt, but also really look at and celebrate free spirit fabrics. Thank you, Scott Fortunoff, for giving independent retailers like me the opportunity to create videos that show you our businesses and how we use free spirit fabrics and other brand name fabrics that your company, Scott, sells. So for me, the free spirit fabrics mean quite a great deal. The painterly aspect of K-facet collective fabrics is key to the whole Quilt-ish of Cape Cod philosophy. Painters have gravitated here, specifically to Provincetown, for many generations. And so the arts here play a big role in our aesthetic sensibilities, just as the ocean and all the colors in the sky at sunsets and the lighthouses at night. Let me show you how I create quilts that are about coastal life and aspects of coastal living with existing free spirit fabrics. So for example, the shell bouquet fabric, the #1 activity that people who live here do, and then all the travelers who come here, and even the quilters who come for quilting retreats on Cape Cod, is to go to the beach. And what do we do at the beach besides sunbathe? We walk the beach, we collect shells, we walk out onto our flats at low tide, which can go out for a mile or more, and see all the different types of shells that occur as you go further and further out. So this, and the fact that it's in blues and greens and many colors that we experience when the sun hits our waters at various times of the day, and then also colors that start coming in at sunset. This, to me, is quintessential Cape Cod aesthetic. This is my Mermaid Guild. That is the name of this limited edition fabric art panel that a company in Durham, North Carolina manufactures for me. It's called the Mermaid Guild. It's a reference to mermaids having their own quilt guild, and that they are quilting underwater and actually quilting not only quilts, but they're quilting the sails. Now this panel is just screaming to have free spirit fabrics with it. And the painterly quality of this panel works beautifully with Philip Jacobs' spiral shells as borders, and then also this vine fabric that Brendan Mabley designed. And so for this quilt, you can see we use them as borders, but also we took 7 of my Mermaid Guild panels and we hexified 6 of them and made the hexagons and created that hexagon scene with the jewels of under the water here, if you will, all the way around up into the sky. Quilt-ish of Cape Cod fabrics are always prepackaged. Why? Well, they come on spools that are 6 to 8 feet long. Not feasible to have such long spools of fabric in this tiny space. So let's go on inside to see the fabrics, and we'll take it from there. All of these fabrics have been chosen, or you could think of it as curated, for the specific purpose because they've coordinated really well with designs of the unique fabric panels that Quilt-ish offers, or the kits that we have done of well-established patterns such as Storm at Sea, and if we've done those kits in various colorways. So the fabrics range in price anywhere from $4.80 a yard up to about $13 a yard. Quilt-ish offers unique Cape Cod, coastal living, and New England themed fabrics. Specifically, exclusive fabric art panels that are printed on organic cotton sateen by a commercial fabric company in North Carolina. The organic cotton sateen has a wonderful soft feel. It barely shrinks when it's washed, and it holds saturated color so well after repeated washings. So every package that's in the store that looks like this, meaning in a clear plastic bag, you turn it over and you see the fabric. And the print that that fabric is the organic cotton sateen. So this one is the 18 by 28 inch size version of the Light Keeper's quilt, which is this. And this is on the quilt over here against the wall. This quilt is available as a kit. You can just buy the panels separately. You can also look at these fabrics, and if you decide you really like the codfish bone batik, it's over here on the batik shelf. And you can buy the fabric on the bolts in half-yard increments. Why are the majority of unique Quil-tish of Cape Cod designs pre-printed fabric panels? 3 simple reasons. They are stash busters. Simply use the fabrics that you already have at home to create any number of projects with them. Number 2, panels are great ways to learn free motion quilting. You just stitch around the outlines of shapes where the color changes in the design, and that is the beginning of understanding free motion quilting. Number 3, panels make for fast, satisfying projects. If you need to make a quick gift by hand or by machine, for, say, a summer or weekend host, any number of Quil-tish panels will do the trick, and you'll be able to give it to that individual while you're still here on the Cape. This quilt over here is similar to what we saw outside with Shell Boutique. This design is not by me. It's by Aardvark Quilts, and it's called Domiciles, which many of you know. I use Brandon Mabley's shanty fabric in here in the houses in different colorways, because this shanty fabric reminds me of the colors of cottages and shacks in Provincetown, Truro, and Wellfleet, and how they change color from the morning to the night depending on how strong the sunlight is and how brilliant and beautiful the sky is at night when it gets darker. The other thing about this Aardvark design is that I used batiks that are now retired, and they're rare in that these are lighthouses, and their names, their New England lighthouse names, are on this batik. So this appears in a couple of different places. So this is customized to be very local by the nature of the local lighthouse batiks, other lighthouse batiks that are scattered through this quilt, and then the Brendan Mabley shoal fabric, which is of the fish, and then this fabric, which to me looks like footprints in the sand. So this is how I will take an existing wonderful design by somebody else, but start to localize it to living on a coast, and specifically on Cape Cod, by the very nature of these colorful shanty shacks. Here's another example where I've taken one of my exclusive fabric art panels. This one is called Road Trip, and I've married it to Tula Pink's fabric from her Elizabeth collection. There are old ships tossed about in the waves that are part of this design. There are also old nautical instruments. It's about living on a coast. It's about going around with your friends to various shopping places, or vacationing with them, or possibly a quilting retreat in a coastal area. And the panel itself says, spend your life doing strange things with weird people. There are tons of quilters who come to the Cape, not only in the summer, but they also come for retreats in the fall, and then again in the spring, and sometimes in the winter as well. So these travelers have been to many places, and they like to celebrate where they've been. So I offer the stamps from Zebra Patterns from all over the world, and people love to collect these stamps and then put them into quilts that celebrate where they've been. There are a number of other things that make great gifts and personal souvenirs too. You can make them as table runners. You can insert these long panels, 10 by 37 or 11 by 36 and a half. Not only as table runners, but you can insert these as rows into quilts. In fact, many of my table runners did start as entries in the row by row shop hop experience that has taken place now for 5 or 6 years. This one, for example, is called Welcome to Cape Cod. We see the car here on the left, a van. It actually has a Singer sewing machine on the top of it as part of its cargo. And then when you follow all the cars down to the end here, there's a car with boats of fabric. Many of the table runner fabrics make great bolts, so you can do quilted projects that happen to also be soft furnishings for the home. Another great table runner project that has a lot of humor in it is called the Jaws song. The Jaws song portrays a scene in the waters off of Martha's Vineyard, and it's in these waters where the movie Jaws was filmed. Now, if you look at these samples, this one is the applique version, which is the official row by row design entry this year. And then there's the alternative full panel design that anybody who's not doing the contest can buy the panel and just put borders on it. I've learned through the years that it makes sense to put together kits of the samples for row by row because people inevitably want to buy the fabrics or the project ready to go in a pre-cut for them to easily get started on. So coincidentally, Free Spirit Fabrics has a fabric called Shark's Teeth, and this is Brandon Mabley fabric. And it's wonderful that this fabric is still available while the Jaws song design is out for row by row. This year, in the spirit of Jaws song, we've introduced the Chatham Chiller. You put it over a wine bottle and have it go all the way down, and then you simply zip it closed, and when you walk in to your host's home, you present the shark. If you don't drink wine, the Chatham Chiller also makes a great makeup bag. It makes a great notions bag. If you're going on a retreat, you can put various items, scissors, rulers, what have you, thread, into this and zip it up and off you go. The Chatham Chiller is available in blue, and again, I'm using all Free Spirit fabrics for that, and it's also available in red. Quilt-ish of Cape Cod designs and unique fabric panels can be used for far more than just quilts and wall hangings. As you've seen, they can be used for creating pillows and craft projects like this, and apparel like this beautiful little Annabelle dress, sundress for a little girl, or using the K-Fassa Collective to make great shirts. I like to use the fabrics, and in particular, Free Spirit fabrics, for making wearables. Because then when I'm walking around my shop, people can see that there are all kinds of things that they actually can make to adorn themselves, as well as their walls and their beds. Thanks for watching this video. It was made to answer Scott Fortunoff's challenge to independent fabric retailers to strut our stuff. The video that attracts the most Facebook likes will win 20 bolts of fabric from Scott's company. If Quilt-ish is lucky enough to win, it will donate all of the winnings to area guilds to turbocharge their efforts to provide quilts to wounded warriors, nursing homes and shelter residents, hospice clients, and patients undergoing chemo and radiation. Members of guilds spend thousands of dollars at independent retailers to spread compassion and love through what their hands stitch. Again, Scott, thanks so much for creating the competition, for letting small businesses like myself share what we love to do and how we do it and what's unique about it. I know you're coming to Cape Cod, Scott, in February, or at least you're scheduled to do so. You're going to be speaking at the Bayberry Quilters Guild, which is the largest guild on the Cape, with about 300 members. There are a number of other guilds as well. but that one is the biggest, and I will be there to see you. I'm looking forward to meeting you and to listening to your talk. Thanks so much.